Nearly 50 years after the Voyager spacecraft carried the golden record into interstellar space, a new global initiative is inviting people to record fresh messages for the universe. The Humans Deep Space Message Project is collecting public voice recordings to mark Voyager's 50th anniversary, asking one simple question: what should the universe remember about our story on Earth? Unlike the original curated record, this effort is open to everyone. In this video, we will explore what this new message project is, why it matters, and what happens next. Let's get started. When NASA launched Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 in 1977, their primary goal was planetary science. The spacecraft were designed to study Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune during a rare alignment that would not occur again for decades. But attached to each probe was something unusual, a golden record intended as a cultural artifact. The golden record contained greetings in dozens of languages, music from various traditions, natural sounds from Earth, and scientific diagrams explaining our planet's location and basic physical constants. It was assembled by a small team led by astronomer Carl Sagan, and represented a carefully selected portrait of humanity at that moment in history. Today, both Voyager spacecraft have traveled beyond the heliosphere into interstellar space. Voyager 1 is more than 20 billion kilometers from Earth, making it the most distant human-made object ever built. Despite being nearly half a century old, it continues to transmit limited data back to NASA. As the 50th anniversary of the Voyager launch approaches in 2027, researchers and cultural institutions have introduced a new initiative inspired by the original record. The Humans Deep Space Message Project, short for Humanity United with MIT Art and Nanotechnology in Space, builds on Voyager's legacy but updates its approach. Instead of relying on a committee to decide what represents Earth, the project invites public participation. People are asked to record a short voice message responding to a single question: what would you like the universe to remember about our story on Earth? Submissions have been collected through partnerships with institutions such as the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney, along with research teams from MIT and Harvard. Thousands of individuals have contributed messages. Some describe Earth's oceans, wildlife, and landscapes. Others reflect on love, family, uncertainty, humor, or cultural identity. The range of responses illustrates a broader, less curated representation of humanity. The messages will be archived using silicon nanowafer technology. Unlike the analog phonograph record of 1977, this modern medium uses nanofabrication techniques to store large amounts of data in a compact, durable format. The plan is for the archive to be launched aboard a future space mission marking the Voyager anniversary, with the audio later broadcast symbolically into deep space. The technology has evolved significantly since 1977, but the core concept remains similar: preserving a snapshot of humanity and sending it outward as part of our expanding presence in space. From a scientific perspective, the likelihood that extraterrestrial beings will encounter or interpret these messages remains uncertain. The distances between stars are vast, and Voyager's trajectory does not directly target a specific planetary system. At its current speed, it would take tens of thousands of years to pass near another star. However, interstellar messaging has never depended entirely on probability. It connects to broader scientific disciplines, such as astrobiology and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI. These fields explore whether life exists elsewhere and how communication might function across interstellar distances. The golden record relied heavily on mathematical and physical references, such as pulsar timing and atomic structure, under the assumption that advanced civilizations would recognize universal scientific constants. The Humans Initiative shifts emphasis. Instead of focusing primarily on technical explanation, it centers on human expression. This shift reflects an evolving conversation within communication theory. While mathematics may be a universal language, culture and emotion are also fundamental aspects of intelligent life. By collecting thousands of personal reflections, the project captures how people describe themselves at this moment in history. There is ongoing discussion within the scientific community about messaging extraterrestrial intelligence, often abbreviated as MMETI. Some researchers advocate caution when deliberately transmitting signals beyond Earth. Others argue that humanity has already been broadcasting radio and television emissions into space for decades, making additional cultural messages relatively insignificant in terms of risk. The human's deep space message is not a targeted transmission aimed at a known exoplanet. It functions primarily as a symbolic extension of the Voyager legacy. Its importance lies less in the expectation of contact and more in the interdisciplinary collaboration it represents. Nanotechnology, space engineering, anthropology, and public participation intersect in a single initiative. Another meaningful dimension is historical comparison. The Golden Record reflected a 1970s perspective shaped by Cold War tensions, scientific optimism, and the early environmental movement. The new archive reflects the concerns and values of the 2020s: global interconnectedness, environmental awareness, cultural diversity, uncertainty about the future, and a desire for shared understanding. In that sense, the project becomes an anthropological record. It documents how humanity perceives itself at a specific point in time, even if no extraterrestrial civilization ever accesses it. The archive remains a cultural artifact for future generations on Earth. The scientific relevance, therefore, extends beyond astronomy. It touches on how technological civilizations represent themselves, how identity evolves, and how communication strategies adapt over decades of exploration. One of the most immediate implications of the Humans Initiative is public engagement with space exploration. Unlike robotic missions that operate far from everyday experience, this project invites direct participation. Recording a short message is a simple act, but the question it poses encourages reflection beyond daily concerns. When asked what the universe should remember about Earth, many participants focus on shared human traits rather than political or national divisions. Themes of curiosity, love, resilience, creativity, and environmental stewardship frequently appear. The exercise frames humanity from a broader perspective, emphasizing common ground. The planned broadcast in 2027 will coincide with the Voyager 50th anniversary. By that time, the spacecraft will be even farther from Earth, continuing their slow journey through interstellar space. Although the new message will not physically attach to the original probes, it extends the symbolic narrative they began. Looking ahead, advances in storage and miniaturization may influence how humanity preserves and transmits knowledge beyond Earth. Silicon nanowafer technology demonstrates that massive archives can now be encoded in microscopic formats. Future missions could carry scientific databases, cultural records, or multilingual libraries in highly durable forms. As astronomers identify increasing numbers of exoplanets within habitable zones, discussions about interstellar communication may become more strategic. While the Humans Project remains primarily symbolic, it contributes to the broader conversation about how a technological civilization chooses to introduce itself to the cosmos. There is also a long-term perspective embedded in the Voyager anniversary itself. The spacecraft were designed with 1970s engineering and computing power far more limited than today's standards, yet they continue operating nearly 5 decades later. Their endurance demonstrates that human-built systems can function on timescales that extend well beyond individual lifetimes. The Humans Deep Space message continues that long-term thinking. It does not promise extraterrestrial response, nor does it attempt to resolve questions about alien life. Instead, it encourages reflection on continuity. What aspects of humanity endure? What stories matter when viewed from a cosmic scale? regardless of whether the message is ever received. It becomes part of a tradition that connects past exploration to future possibility. It reminds us that space exploration is not only about gathering data from distant planets, but also about considering how we define ourselves within a vast universe. Nearly 50 years after the Golden Record, humanity is once again sending its voice into deep space. The new message may never be heard, but it captures who we are at this moment in history. And in asking what the universe should remember about us, we better understand ourselves.